My dad told me to work garbage routes, and I found out rich people throw away fortunes. People always ask what low-status job made someone rich, and I still laugh because my dad told me the answer once. I was 20, a business major at UCLA with a 3.7 GPA, and I thought my life was going to be suits, meetings, and a steady climb. Dad drove a garbage truck, and he came home smelling like trash and diesel. Mom made him strip in the garage, scrub up, and shower before he could even hug us. At my graduation party, my cousins were bragging about internships, finance offers, and fancy job titles. Uncle Steve kept poking me, asking when I'd start making real money. I was about to give a polished answer when my dad pulled me into the kitchen, away from the toasts and the noise. He opened his phone and showed me his pay stub, $85,000 with overtime, full benefits, and a pension plan he said would pay out strong later. Then he nodded toward our garage and whispered, "That's the other paycheck." I followed him outside and stood there staring. Our garage was packed with furniture, old TVs still in boxes, jewelry cases, and tools that looked barely used. Dad said, "Rich people toss the best stuff. Somebody has to haul it, so you might as well profit twice." I felt embarrassed just hearing it. I told him I didn't grind through 4 years of college and $60,000 in debt to pick up other people's trash. He shrugged, didn't argue, and walked back into the party like it was no big deal. 6 months later, my marketing job offer didn't save me because the firm laid off a bunch of new hires, including me. My loan payments started at $847 a month. My studio in West Hollywood was draining my savings, and my credit cards got ugly fast. I was cutting coupons, skipping meals, and watching the numbers drop. Dad texted one line, "If you want, I can get you on my route." He didn't say, "I told you so," which somehow made it hurt more. On my first day, I showed up in work boots and jeans, and I felt like everyone could see my failure. The truck was loud, the air was hot, and the smell hit my nose like a wall. By the end of the week, my hands were rough, my clothes were stained with mystery liquid, and I was exhausted in a way school never did. Friends stopped replying when I tried to hang out. When I ran into old classmates, I'd keep my head down and say I was helping family for now. My girlfriend Sarah kept telling me, "This is temporary, right?" At dinner with her parents, her dad asked what my plan was for a real career, and I wanted to disappear into my seat. Then the weird part happened. I started noticing what people actually threw away, like it meant nothing. A rolled-up Persian rug was left on the curb because of one tiny stain. 2 MacBooks were tossed like junk because they were old, and they still turned on. In Beverly Hills, someone dumped a designer handbag with a small scuff that probably cost more than my monthly rent. One mansion set out a full dining set for redecorating, and the chairs looked brand new, like nobody even sat on them once, not even for dinner. I asked Dad if we could even keep this stuff, and he told me the simple rule: once it's at the curb, it's usually fair game, but you follow company policy and don't trespass. So I started small. I kept a little notebook in my pocket and wrote down which streets had the best curb piles. After shifts, I'd drag items into the garage, wipe them down, take photos, and list them online. I paid for a professional cleaning on that rug, and it sold for $1,200 in 2 days. I watched the money hit my account and felt my stomach flip. It was the first time since the layoff that I could breathe. I learned basic repairs from YouTube, replaced a cheap part in one MacBook, and sold it for $600 that weekend. Sarah didn't think it was impressive. She said, "You're supposed to be climbing the ladder, not digging through garbage," and a week later, she broke up with me. It stung, but my bank balance didn't care. Drivers started noticing I was serious, and they'd quietly tell me, "Bulk pickup on Maple Street tomorrow," or "Big clean out in the hills this Friday." Then I got a tip about an estate clean out after an older homeowner passed away, and the family wanted everything gone fast. The curb looked like a store display. Art prints, vintage watches, solid wood furniture, boxes of kitchen gear. My dad and I loaded what we were allowed to take, and I stayed up late cleaning and posting listings. Over the next week, I sold item after item, and when I added it all up, I had cleared $15,000. I drove straight to my loan website, hands shaking, and I paid off a huge chunk in one payment. The next morning, I walked into the waste office, turned in my route badge, and told my boss, "I'm starting my own hauling business." I walked out, called a used truck dealer, and put due.